When people come to me and ask advice, a lot of times it's tempting to just give them the answer or give them my opinion if they want it. But sometimes I have to take a step back and ask myself, by me giving them the question, by me giving them the answer, am I actually helping them or am I debilitating them? It's like when a kid asks you for help to ride his bike, right? He wants you to come and give him a hand. What happens if you say, you know what, I'll ride your bike for you? You don't have to ride the bike. I'll ride it for you. Are you doing the kid a favor? You're paralyzing the kid because instead of you allowing the kid to get on that bike, maybe fall, maybe lose his balance, maybe get a little scared, but with that, practice riding a bike, you're never going to have a kid who rides a bike. You're going to ride the bike, and your kid is always going to be a spectator. He's always going to view you riding the bike, but he'll never be able to ride it on his own. And a lot of times, we ask certain people for advice. We want to consult with people, and I'm not saying it's bad to consult with people. A lot of people mess up their lives because they don't seek expert counsel or they don't get advice from people who know what they're doing. But I'm talking about the things that deep down you know the answer to. Deep down, you know what you should be doing, and you're just going to other people for them to tell you, yes, you should do it. Why do you need them to tell you? If there's certain things in your life that you know you should be doing, so why aren't you doing? Why are you waiting to be instructed by others? Why don't you trust yourself enough with something you know is right and just act upon yourself? So a lot of times when I'm speaking to people and they tell me, oh, what do you think about this? I ask them, what does your gut say? And they said, my gut tells me this. I'm like, do you think that's the right move? They say, yeah, I do. So then I say, so why'd you ask me? What do you need my approval for if you really know it's the right thing? You know yourself better than I do. If you're so sure about it, what was preventing you from taking action based on your own assessment, your own decision making, your own knowledge, your own assessment of the situation? And it comes from a few different places. But one of them is insecurity. That a person needs someone else to give them that stamp of approval. And they can't act upon their own judgment, their own instinct, their own gut, their own assessment. And that's something very crippling because we're just going to go to everyone for approval. We have to build up our spine. We have to build up our belief in our judgment, in ourselves. Now, again, we're not trying to mix in two different things. If you need advice on things you actually don't know, so then seek advice, right? You shouldn't make mistakes if you don't need to. If you can get, expert advice, get it. I'm talking about the things that you deep down in your heart know what you should be doing, but you don't act upon it because you're scared, because you're weak, because who knows why. Those are the things that you should just do. And when you just do them, guess what you're doing? You're raising your personal stock. Every time you know what to do, but you go and ask someone for approval, you're lowering your own stock in your own eyes because you're reaffirming that, you know what, I really can't act on my own. You know what, I really do need the approval of others. So you keep affirming that belief that you can't make the decision for yourself. You can't trust yourself. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough to make the decision. And then you keep getting weaker and weaker because this belief gets fortified more and more. But when you're going to break that and say, you know what, I really know what to do. I don't need the approval for others. I could just act on my own. Guess what? You build yourself. You build your self-confidence. You build your trust in yourself. And the more you exercise that muscle, the stronger it's going to get. It may seem like a simple thing, like not a big deal. So what? I just asked someone. But deep-rootedly, it's very important. So one thing I would say, take something that you really know, you're sure about, but you find yourself asking people for their approval. Just stop. One time. Don't ask anymore. Just do what you know is right based on your own decision without having approval of anyone else. And then feel good about that. Understand that you can make decisions. Understand that you can trust yourself when you know you're right. Understand that you are smart enough to make decisions, that you know the right ones. And then little by little, you'll feel proud of yourself. You'll feel stronger. You'll feel your backbone starting to get more solid. You're not going to feel like a gummy bear anymore or like Gumby. You can trust yourself with the things that you know deep down are right. And when you do, you're just going to get stronger and stronger. And as you get stronger and stronger, you're going to have more abilities to make more decisions on your own. You're going to realize that so many things that you thought you need to consult with other people for, you actually can make that call on your own, and you're going to come into this new world of decision making. And when you enter the world of decision making, you actually find freedom. You have the freedom to choose. See, we all have freedom of choice, but many people don't exercise that freedom because they're too scared to choose. So they end up freezing and not making any decision. And then other people make decisions for them. They're left to a point where they don't even have a decision anymore because there's no choices anymore. They're just forced to do something because it's too late to decide. And then they are taking themselves out of the decision-making process. And the more they do that, the more they lose in life because they can't really choose what they want. One way to live is by strengthening your decision making. And the only way to strengthen it is to start making decisions. Start with the easy ones. That's why I said, don't start with hard decisions that are tremendously, there are tremendous repercussions to them if you make the wrong one. Start looking at the easy things. Go to a restaurant and see that it's hard for you to choose what to order. Just order something. Just make the decision. You don't have to ask, what should I order? Just do it. And little by little, as you train that muscle, it'll get stronger. And then you see that you're going to have an easier time in restaurants, and then you move on to the next thing. You'll have an easier time in other areas of life where they're a little bit harder than restaurants because it doesn't matter what you really choose to eat, right? It's not going to change your life. Then you're going to go on to other decisions that have more weight to them. But you got to start somewhere. And we start in the easy areas that we're more comfortable making decisions. We build up from there. And then little by little, we fortify ourselves, our decision making. Keep in mind, Napoleon Hill writes that one common trait among all the successful people in the world is their capability of making decisions quickly and not changing them for a long time, if at all, ever. And he said one common trait by people who aren't successful is their inability to make decisions. And when they do, they make them and then they change their mind about them. Decision making is either being free or being in jail. If you can make decisions, you're free to choose, and therefore you're free to live. If you can't make decisions, you're not free to choose. And if you don't have a choice, what kind of life are you living? Not one that you would want. This is what I have for you today. I hope that you find this informative. I hope that it's uplifting. And if you did, it would be amazing for you to subscribe so we can continue making videos